Do they have the confidence of the House? And do the Liberals have confidence that they have those votes to pass the budget? Evan Solomon is Canada's Minister of Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation. Minister, thanks for being here. Welcome back to Power Play.
It is good to be here.
Given what has happened in the House in the last week, but also the votes on the amendment, how confident are you that you can pass this budget?
We want to pass the budget because we think it's the right budget, and we think it's the right budget for the right moment to invest in Canada. Look, it was good to see that we've got support for this budget. It's good to see that even amongst Conservatives, they recognize not only themselves but in their communities that this is a budget that's going to invest in their communities, going to invest in the country, going to invest in businesses, going to make this country grow. So, look, we don't take anything for granted. This is an important budget, but it was absolutely good to see that we had that kind of support.
But do you think you have full support? I mean, those were just the amendments.
Look, we don't know. It was good to welcome Chris into our caucus. That was fantastic. I think he recognized that this is a budget that's investing in the country. Like, I'll give you an example. For him, in his riding, it's a rural riding, we got a $50 billion community investment fund. That's going to do a couple things. Build roads. It's going to build community centers. It's going to build rec centers. It's also going to put $5 billion in the hospitals. Look, he gets it. It's going to help build communities when they need it. My riding, his riding. So it was good to see that. I think people, like, more importantly, outside of the political intrigue, it matters. We want the budget to pass. But I think Canadians are looking at this and saying, it's a fair budget, it's the right budget for the right moment.
But not everybody believes that. There's a number of economists, Desjardins notably, they had said, quote, a missed opportunity and was more of the same. Why wasn't this transformative as it had been hyped up to be?
Well, I think it is transformative, and let me just walk through.
Economists aren't saying that, Minister, with all due respect.
I mean, there's lots of quotes that will say, wait, this is too much or too little, but what does it do?
I actually have more quotes that say that it's not enough, but go ahead.
Okay, so well, let's talk about it. I think we're making the biggest investment in a generation in our military. I think that's important, okay? I think we are making the biggest investment a federal government has made in affordable housing by standing up Build Canada Homes. This whole budget could be about making sure that there's affordable housing, that there's no GST on first-time home buy. That's important. You could talk about the military. That's important. You could talk about the community fund. That's absolutely vital. You could talk about investments in tech. That's important. So I think whether you're an individual, a business, a community, or the country, the major projects that we're investing in, this is about investing will be what? $450 billion to unlock $1 trillion. That is sizable, that's effective, and that's real.
But by the same token, BMO has said that many of the measures in this budget were already known, so it's unlikely that it will cause a sharp revision of their economic forecast. So if it didn't move the needle for BMO, why is it going to move the needle for Canadians?
Well, first, why don't we look at things where the needle just moved? Like,
I know, but they're saying that it's not enough.
I mean, but let's look at reality.
These are people who look at budgets for a living.
Let's look at numbers. 67,000 jobs created in October.
Yeah.
That's a real number, right? Unemployment fell. That's a real number, right? Lowest debt to GDP ratio. That's a real number. AAA credit rating. That's a real number. Investing real money in the military. That's a real money. Making the school food program permanent for 500,000 kids. Those are real numbers. So I think the first thing is, there's a lot of real numbers, and you got to invest. Here's the other thing. Politics is about choices. We're investing in the country, historic levels of investment, as we just talked about. No cuts to daycare, really important. Dental care, health care, no cuts to the transfers. These are really important choices. Okay, so we are protecting, ring-fencing those services. It's really important.
But we were told there'd be sacrifices, there'd be austerity, and I got another number for you, 1/3. Sure. In terms of the scale of savings, only about 1/3 of the cuts that we saw in the 1995 budget that was put forward by the Liberal government, which is being held as the standard as transformative. If there's only 1/3 of the cuts of what is being held as the standard, Would you say the expectations were too high going into this?
I think we've got to be fair. You're comparing apples and oranges. Totally different fiscal situation under Paul Martin. The debt to GDP, just a second, the debt to GDP ratio,
but at the same
totally
time,
different, different choices.
But your Prime Minister went in this saying people will have to make sacrifices. Is 1/3 of the transformational budget that was in 1995, is that really sacrifices then?
Well, first of all, we're talking about opportunities and investment here. I think we got to focus on the right thing. 1995 is a different world.
But he's the one who set it up as sacrifices. It wasn't me. Those weren't my words. That was your Prime Minister.
Let's talk about 2025. All right? One, remember, in 1995, there was cuts to transfers to the provinces. We're not doing that. I think that's really important because this is a moment where Canadians want to invest in the things they care about: healthcare, dental care, child care. Those things matter. Then you got to make life affordable. So you got to invest in affordable housing. You got to make sure that first-time home buyers have houses, and you got to make sure you can build fast, right?
Yeah.
You can buy affordably, and you can live forever. That's what basically what we're trying to push with this Build Canada Homes. So that's really important. Look, it's a new world. We got to invest in our national defense and our security. We're doing that. We got to invest in our borders. That's why we got 1,000, CBSA officers and 1,000 new RCMP officers. Those are real investments. And so, but it's how you invest. And I think this is something that, again, is important. First of all, you got to get investment in. So,
I do. And part of that's going to AI. And I want to actually circle in on your file here specifically. Your government has heralded as something that will help with a lot of cost savings in the government and making sure that it runs more efficiently. How much of the $13 billion in annual savings are going to be a result of the implementation of artificial intelligence?
Okay, so first of all, you're right. We got to save more on on our government so we can invest more. I think that's fair. And I think we got to get more productive. I think Canadians kind of want the government to serve them better in more efficiently because they want to see more affordability. And so I was on the committee that went through the investments to make sure that we're investing in our public service in ways to make it more efficient. AI will play a role.
How? I just want to, because I think a lot of people look at it, and look, let's be honest, most people at home, they think of AI, they know what Siri is on their phone, but they want to know concretely how does that make government more efficient without possibly cutting jobs.
Okay, look, AI is a job multiplier. Let me just hear some numbers because I know you love the numbers, Mike.
Love the numbers.
800,000 people work in the digital sector, fastest growing job creating sector in the country, 150,000 jobs currently in AI. Now, we haven't even adopted AI a lot. We're trying to drive that. Remember, AI is a job multiplier. I know people are concerned about that. One of the reasons in this budget we're investing in training, not just the 100,000 summer jobs for young people, but the 55,000 spaces for training. A lot of that will be in tech, but we're investing in that sector. And this is really important. We've got to crowd in capital so we maintain our leadership. One of the things that we've done that sounds nerdy, but this is the place to talk about it.
Of course it
is the the super deduction for productivity. Now, this is like one of those moments where people can say, okay, what's the baseline? Given the current political realignment, which is the United States, our super deduction will allow us to bring our marginal tax rates, down to 13.2% from 15.6%. That is lower than it is in the United States, even after the one beautiful big bill. That means we have a lower, that is crowding in investment. And where is that investment going? Not just in our major projects, not just in our infrastructure, but also into tech, because we are a leading country in AI, a leading country in not just the innovation, but in our entrepreneurship. But we need to crowd in capital to build the digital infrastructure to make sure that we have these tools to serve Canadians.
So how does the implementation then go into that $13 billion in annual cost savings?
I will tell you, I am working closely with Joël Lightbound, my counterpart who's in charge of government transformation, to make sure that we modernize government service to make it more productive and make it efficient so we can save more, so we can invest more. Like this budget is really important. And your household, It depends what you invest in. The core insight into this budget, Mike, is that we're investing in capital costs. That means things like when you buy a house, the investment goes up. That's different than you buy new clothes.
I feel like you haven't answered the question of how AI is going to make government run more efficiently. And the reason I ask is because a lot of people have a memory of things, of technology being ushered in by a government, namely the Phoenix Pay system, and they go, well, is that what this is going to turn out to be?
So we've set up
because obviously, that was not something that went over so well.
Right. So, look, it's a great question about how this is going to function. We're setting up a new Office of Government Transformation. I will be part of that under the authority of Joel Lightbound. And I think what you'll see is, first of all, we've struck some MOUs, we've signed some memorandums of understanding with Canadian companies. The first thing is we've got to use Canadian technology, we've got to build up our sovereignty, we've got to move from a kind of reliance on other countries to our resilience, using Canadian tech within government, and we will be buying that tech. And of course, the Office of Government Transformation is about utilizing to maximize efficiency. Now, you're asking me what the exact savings are going to come when. The office has just been announced in this budget.
But you must have a rough idea if you've set out to do it this way. And an idea of saying, well, AI will save us money, you must have an idea how much you could save.
Well, we know what the savings are based on the forecasts on our budget. And I think what you're going to see is AI will play a role in, it's not just the savings, which is going to play a role. Look, efficiency matters, but it's serving Canadians better. Like, I'll give you an example, wait times. Right? Wait times, whether you're for CRA, wait times in immigration. Those are the kind of ministries that are looking to use new tools to make sure that we're serving Canadians better. Like, this is an outcome first. We need to serve Canadians better, so they spend less time getting passports or less time waiting for CRA.
So is that your measure of success? And
that's one of them. Of course, there will be KPIs.
Or is it a number? Or is it a number in terms of savings to make sure that you are saving the public purse? So is it a service-based, or is it actual a dollar figure that you're looking for?
They're both. There's going to be measurements of service. Well, every ministry. First, we've got to strike the office, and then again, Joel Lightbound's going to be and will be setting up the metrics. But absolutely, the metrics are going to be to serve Canadians better and to save money. Now, like you're asking about save money, in the budget, you've seen that we are going to balance operating budget by 2029. So, I mean, that's there. We're still going to invest in capital, things that grow, things that we get return on investment, job creators, job multipliers, and we will have our operating budget balanced by 2029. And that is one way to do it.
And I appreciate that. I'll just circle back on this, because you mentioned everybody's household, you have to budget, you have to have an idea of what you're going to do going into this. Well, if I'm making a budget and I'm going to bring in something new into my household that's saying that it's actually going to save me money down the road, I have either a dollar figure that I want to save or something else. Usually it's a dollar figure. So that's why I'm asking you specifically, how much money do we think that AI can save this government?
Right. So and I'm going to answer you again, it's going to be part of the solution to balance our operating budget. But I just...
So there's no dollar figure yet?
Well, there's going to be metrics when the office is stood up on that. But I just think...
How soon until that office is stood up, though?
Well, again, that's Joel Lightbound is the one in charge of that, so I don't have the exact date. I just don't want to give you information that...
I understand,
but let me just give you the bigger...
a couple months, a year, what are we thinking?
Let me give you the bigger picture here about AI, because I think it merits a bit of a broader moment, which is the government's got to also use the tools internally. We are going to also be making sure that we have easier to procure, so the government can procure from the private sector. That actually drives business. We've got a crowd in capital, but the point is that we need to build the economy of the future by making sure that we're investing in the tools of the future. AI is one of those tools, but we need the infrastructure, we need the sovereignty, and then the other last thing for my file, and it's really important, is the trust. Again, I've said that before the end of the year, barring the parliamentary calendar, I will be putting forward some legislation on privacy and data, because you can't really build the economy of the future unless people trust it. Their privacy safe and their data safe. That's absolutely core. And but the budget is about building the foundation. This is the roadmap where we're going to go, but we got to lay the first bricks, and that is trust.
Okay, I got to leave it on that.
Thanks.
Minister of AI, Digital Innovation, also the Minister of Federal Economic Development for Southern Ontario, Evan Solomon. Thanks for being with us.
Awesome to see you.